Hello, comic book readers, and welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
A live comic book show, and then later it's not live. And you're probably listening to this after the fact, but listen, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Because we talk about comics that came out the past week, recap and review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out next week or this week that we think you should pick up. In this case, we missed Monday because it was a holiday. Hopefully you had a nice one. We did. And we're catching up. So since it's Tuesday, and it's DC Tuesday, because DC releases their books on Tuesdays, unlike every other comic book store, which of course holds their DC books unless you ask for them. But DC had two major releases today, and so we're going to talk about those along with the upcoming Thor: Love and Thunder movie.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to be a little different from our normal movie breakdown.
Yes.
Because you probably haven't had a chance to see the movie.
Yeah, so we don't want to ruin it for you.
So we're not going to ruin it for
at
you.
all.
So this is going to be a non-spoiler review.
This is going to be a review with punctuated pauses.
That's right. Yes. Long, drawn-out pauses where we stumble over our words and try desperately to make it so that we don't spoil the movie for you.
That's right.
But listen, that hopefully, as is the case with the promotions and why we actually got to see it in the first place, we're hyping you up for it.
Yeah.
And it works to some degree. But so we're going to talk a little bit about our thoughts about Thor: Love and Thunder, and then we're going to tell you whether we recommend it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we'll do another video at some point where we talk all spoilers if you're interested in that kind of thing. And that'll come out after you saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just going to talk about some comics. And then because today is Tuesday and new comics come out on Wednesday, we're also going to recommend books that are coming out tomorrow that we think you should pick up. And yeah, it's going to be very, very new. This is a very fresh, this is the freshest episode of Off the Rack that's ever been.
Yeah, really, actually it is.
I know, because we're talking about Batman number 125. We're going to talk about Dark Crisis number 2.
Yeah.
And Thor: Love and Thunder, both of which are books that came out today, and a movie that's coming out like tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm excited, and I think there's a couple other X books that you might want to talk about as well.
I might drop something. I mean, like I could literally just do like a quick hey, this happened, this happened.
Yeah, a little recap on X-Men. I mean, I think that's fair. Before I do get started, should have mentioned that this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can ask a question or comment and read it. We're going to read it here on the show. Like Dan V900, who has two posts, both of which are a little review of the Batcat 12 series. It's the 12th issue of the 12-issue maxi series from Tom King and Clayman and also Liam Sharp. He says, I'm sure you'll get to it later, but Batcat 12 felt so anticlimactic. It's just made me go, that's it. It shouldn't have been 12 issues. Andrea was completely unnecessary. I know King added her character since Clayman wanted to draw her, but it wasn't worth it. Not a great ending, 2 out of 2. And that's, of course, meaning 2 out of 2 posts that he made. I'm not going to review Batcat. I don't care enough to talk about it. It's not big enough. No one cares.
That's fair.
I don't know if the sales were good. I haven't checked, but nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear about Batcat. Fact is, the series is over, and it is going to dovetail into 2 more series. I mean, you got Killing Time from Tom King. It's another mini series that may or may not be in continuity. Nobody cares. And then there's the other one, the Riddler one, which based on his use of Riddler, we'll see how that turns out. Riddler's also in Killing Time. So it turns out,
I guess he just likes Riddler.
King likes Riddler.
The Riddler fan. He stands Riddler.
Maybe, and one day he'll write a Riddler I like. The Killing Time Riddler is the one I like the most.
Okay.
Out of all the times he's used Riddler.
Okay.
So, yeah, Batcat. Brian Rollins, hope you had a great 4th of July. Hopefully you did too. Can't wait to see where Variants is going with Jess Jones. And did you see some of the goofy art in Batman Fortress? No, I haven't seen the goofy art in Batman Fortress, but we did read at least the first issue of Batman Fortress, and I panned it. So, yeah, I don't know about the goofy art, but I certainly didn't like it.
I don't remember that at all.
That was the one where it's written by the movie or TV guy.
Oh.
And it's like aliens are coming. Superman's busy. I don't know. Wasn't great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. They mentioned that Jessica Jones is coming to Disney Plus, and it's to be called AKA Jessica Jones. But that's like a rumor. I don't know if that's actually confirmed.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. That's because originally, I think the second series after Alias had come and gone, they made another series called AKA Jessica Jones. And then I think they were going to call the Netflix show AKA Jessica Jones, but they went
with Jessica Jones.
And Ray Farr says, I got the flu. Sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
And I've been home all weekend playing games and watching ComicPop. Thank you guys for all the content and making me feel better. Well, hopefully you'll feel better sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get well soon, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us. So yeah, let's do a recap of X-Men before we get started.
I'm only going to cover just 2 of them because more of that came out. But I just want to mention that Sabretooth came out.
Yes.
Number 4. Number 5 is coming out tomorrow.
Oh.
Written by Victor Lavelle with art by Leonard Kirk. Now, I think part of this is also that in like 2 weeks,
yes,
the Hellfire Gala issue is going to drop. So
yeah.
I think they're just like, oh gosh, get everything in beforehand, right?
Yeah.
The key here for me was, you know, like, oh, what's Sabretooth doing? Oh, the end of this issue was very hand wavy. Just like, okay, and this. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But for me, the big takeaway was a conversation between Skin and I believe it's Blob.
Okay.
Where it said that things are changing, everyone can feel it. I'm gonna miss what was, but when there's a sudden power vacuum, it's good to have friends, a brotherhood. And I'm like, are you trying to drop into this that it's like we're gonna
make a Brotherhood of Evil Mutants,
or that like, you know, like Krakoa was fun, but like now we're going someplace else.
I'm like, cool. I hope so.
I hope that wasn't the book you chose to do that in.
Well, because otherwise people are gonna miss it.
Maybe, yeah. Additionally, X-Men Red came out.
And yeah, another one. Jeez, this book is just coming out.
Yeah, issue 4, written by Al Ewing with art by Juan Cabal, Andreas Genole, and Michael Stamaria.
So you gonna sing that one?
That's because I don't know anything. Quite a few artists on this one, and it kind of.
How long is the issue?
It's a regular size issue.
Oh,
it's just kind of like.
That's the Marvel method now.
Well, I mean, there are 3 different storylines, so I guess each of them took one of them. But it does feel like, honestly, oh gosh, we need to get this issue out
before the gala.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of. Just, I don't know. This issue was fine. I think Ewing is writing the Hellfire Gala, and it probably is already written. And I would like to think it was written before this issue was written, but maybe it wasn't. This issue just felt okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was really hyping this book up, and I really, really enjoyed everything that was going on with Magneto. And there are some moments in this; it just didn't feel quite as strong as the past 3 issues.
Mm-hmm.
At least the last issue.
Right.
It kind of felt more like the second issue, I guess, in a sense. But we do, they've got, we've got a couple of just basic conversations going on in this issue. That's really what this is all about. Like, what's his name? Roberto is having a conversation with Rockslide, his new self, right?
Otherworldly and Rockslide.
Yeah, who a lot of the mutants call Wrong Slide, which is like cruel, but also he thinks it is accurate because he's like, I'm not Rockslide.
Right.
And we get a conversation with him where he's like, when I'm ready to go, I'm going to go to Otherworld and like let myself die there, and then we'll like hopefully something new will come back. And I'm like, that's so sad.
Yeah. Also, like, have they ever done anything with this yet?
With that,
the Otherworld, right? Where like something they're coming back wrong. It really felt like they were really like heading towards something.
Well,
and now they've killed Gambit, so who knows?
Yeah, but they're also looking for the Siege Perilous, so I'm just kind of like, we'll see. And also, there's like all sorts of layers now. I feel like this was like kind of an interesting smoking gun that they had, and I don't know if they know what to do with it just yet.
I mean, I would hope that if the gun were smoking, you had a target in mind.
Right. And I mean, maybe the target was Gambit, and we'll see what they do with it from there. I know there's a Gambit series coming out, but I think it's written by Chris Claremont and has nothing to do with Krakoa as it is. I think it's going to be like an adventure from the past.
Yep.
With him and like,
Well, if it was an adventure in the past, they should have Howard Mackie do it because Mackie wrote the Gambit miniseries.
Right. But I believe it's going to be Claremont on that. But additionally, Magneto, takes a seat at the ring on Arakko. It's like, oh, that's cool. But they question. Now we've got 2 people from Krakoa on here, and like the way of Arakko is like, listen, like when you die, and that's fine. You just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how it is. We live and we die, and like you have no fear of that. So like, how should like you have the right to rule those who just die, and like even though.
Aren't they mutants? Can't they just come back?
They could. They choose not. They're like, no, that's not how we. That's not us.
That's not our way.
That's not our way.
That's not our way either, though. But we would definitely go back if we could. I mean,
sure. But like their warrior way doesn't allow them that to happen. And they're like, what right should 2 of you have to rule that? Do you understand loss? Do you understand that? Right?
Yeah.
And like Magneto is there alone. Storm's having another conversation elsewhere. She's like somewhere over there, right? We will get to that. And like Magneto also calls to task though Iska. He's like, technically she really doesn't have any fear of that either.
Yeah. Yeah, because she can't be beaten.
She's the unbeaten, and she does try to pull like there could be victory in death, like I could win that way.
Yeah, but you don't want to die though.
Yeah, at the end of the day though, like he's got this little sphere, it looks like a little like Cerebro sphere thingy, and then like he ends up crushing it, and he's like, that was the only like backup of Storm and I.
Sure.
And, like, so we choose to live by the Araco way.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. I seriously doubt that like that Eric or that that Xavier's gonna let that happen. But maybe to their knowledge,
yeah,
that they would, they believe that that's true, additionally, Storm is getting pulled into something that's happening in another book in New Mutants. No, not New Mutants, in Marauders.
Oh yeah,
whatever
that's right.
Marauders became. Which I can't remember.
The space book, right?
Yeah, the one where in space and it's Kitty and all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Xandra was shot.
Yeah,
she died.
Oh,
she died in this book. They were like,
well, she was originally created really.
Yeah, Storm gets called to like a secret meeting of space representatives, including T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like a little moment. If you were reading Black Panther, you probably knew more about that than I did. There was like something between them, like an argument.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a little more information there, but not really. They go to this meeting where they're told like she died. Just let out a psychic scream.
Yeah.
I heard it. So like I wanted to let you guys know, because once we tell the Shi'ar Empire that this happened, there's going to be a power vacuum.
Yep.
And like there's going to be a war, and like potentially trillions could die from it.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Rider's also there.
Aren't they being led by like Hulkling or something? Aren't they all being led by one person?
No, not the Shi'ar.
I thought they was all under one banner.
No, it's the Kree.
Yeah, there was the Kree versus the plants, and I thought the Shi'ar was involved in some way.
No, Xandra rules over the Shi'ar right now.
Ah, okay.
So essentially, they're like questioning like what should happen, and one of the representatives is like, hey, should we bring her back, like kind of thing, and like someone's like, we really shouldn't do that, because then you basically set up like an immortal leader, and that's really not how it works, and that may not look good, and I don't support that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Storm's like, you act like you get to decide. Because think about this for a hot second. What do you think allowed her to let go of a psychic scream that could like cross the galaxy, carrying all of her memories and DNA sequence with it? And you think that like the person who basically made that like possible for her didn't catch it?
Right?
Because like Charles Xavier is probably the most powerful telepath in the universe. He absolutely heard it. He absolutely got the Five and Sinister on it immediately. And they're like, she's already back.
Right.
So I don't know what you think you're talking about here, or like that you need to give us permission for like doing what we're going to do, but we've already done it.
Yeah.
So, and she just leaves. I'm like, okay, you're really like the diplomacy thing. Like I love Storm, but like,
yeah,
you might have wanted to hang on to that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we at the end of it, like Richard Rider is going to come to Araco,
right?
So if you wanted some more Nova's coming up to Araco for a bit. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting one. Like I said, it wasn't quite as tight, and it just felt. Maybe it's a little wheel spinny, because I think some of these books right now like got caught up in a weird like release schedule with like delays, and then it's also like, okay, but like certain things aren't supposed to happen before
the Hellfire
Gala, so it's kind of like
it
feels like some bigger stuff should be happening. I think we're just waiting.
Right.
So
everyone's in a holding pattern.
Yeah. But it was like, oh, okay, cool. So big things were that like, Sabretooth, like that book's dropping, like things may not be permanent, which we already knew. But I was kind of hoping that wouldn't be the book to like make us find out. Then with X-Men Red, it's like, okay, so technically Magneto and Storm couldn't be easily brought back.
Right. Except they will be.
Mm-hmm. Well, in theory, they would just go up to the heaven.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then it would be up to them if they choose to come back.
Which, of course, they won't, but then they'll be forced to against their will, and then they'll be stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's your X-Men roundup.
I just want to, and there were a few other books that came out. Ecstatics came out, X-Force came out, Patch came out. If you're reading that Wolverine Patch book.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is, but that's.
I'm sure people are. I'm sure
a lot of people are.
I'm sure a lot of people who don't want to deal with Krakoa at all are like, okay, at least I have this.
Right. Which good for X-Men, because if you're in a position to release multiple X-Men titles, the least you could do is give people a freaking break.
Yeah.
From it.
Exactly.
But yeah, man. So let's jump into some books that came out this week. That is to say today. that are interesting. I think we got to jump into Dark Crisis number 2.
Okay.
Because Dark Crisis is like should be the biggest thing, and it isn't. And obviously people want to hear about what we think about Batman. So but Dark Crisis is happening, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that Dark Crisis came out this week. So we're jumping into Dark Crisis. This is, of course, written by Josh Williamson with art by Dan Semper, I think. And it's continuing the story. If you read any tie-ins, FU doesn't matter, which is the way it should be. I assume it actually does allude to a bunch of stuff that's happening, but like this is the main event. This is the stuff that's happening. Like if you read that Young Justice book, it's like, well, who cares? Like it's not in any way related.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but like we're not going to reference it here. But yeah, so Deathstroke enacts his plan. Of course, Deathstroke is being manipulated by the Great Darkness. He is, I think he's being manipulated by the Great Darkness. It indicates that both Pariah and Deathstroke are agents of the Great Darkness.
Yeah, they're trying to say that like Deathstroke's like trying to fight against it by doing what Deathstroke does.
Right, that's what Deathstroke does.
I just got to kill. If I kill you, then you can't be part of it.
Right.
That's what I took from it.
Well, because
that's the worst plan ever.
Yeah. So. Pariah, his dark army that he had gathered, I think the idea was that like he was going to, because I was like, oh, I kind of really didn't get it. Like I thought the dark army was just supposed to kill the Justice League, but like then it is indicated or at least cemented in this that the dark army led by Pariah, or at the least controlled by them, was going to be meant to go to Earth and kick off the crisis.
Right.
Deathstroke's job is to cause chaos, basically to artificially kickstart a crisis, which I thought was kind of a neat idea. That like if you cause enough mayhem at once in the DC universe, it's technically a crisis and will like kick it off and get, I guess, bring the Dark Army / the Great Darkness to Earth. I think that's the idea. Because the Dark Army is in space and they're supposed to kick off the Dark Crisis, but they're agents of the Great Darkness anyway.
Yeah, but like Pariah needs heroes.
Yes.
To be part, like it has to be like
it has to be an event.
Yes, it's all about story.
Yeah. So that happened.
Yeah, that did happen. Okay. So first of all, page 1, I was like, Josh, you see me? Is that what you're about?
Yeah, he does. Because it opens with Pariah talking about how useless he is.
And he's just like, I know you're mad about it. And I'm like,
you're like, oh, yes, I am.
I am. Yeah, no, I hate you.
Yeah. So how'd that go?
I think he's garbage still.
Well, of course he is. He's supposed to be garbage. He's supposed to be a jobber. Like, you're supposed to hate him.
So, like, this book, all it did was I was like, okay. Like, for, like, a few moments during this book, I forgot I was reading a big event book. And it just felt like a regular comic.
Yeah.
Which was like, that's not good.
Yeah.
And only because of the fact that it's, like, instead of, like, knowing... This book has, or this event has 7 issues, right? So like 7 issues, each issue should feel like it has a purpose to some degree. Even it doesn't have to hit you over the head, but like in the grand scheme of things, it should have some sort of purpose, right? A lot of ongoings with decompression tend to extend some things, and that's kind of what I felt in issue 2 of this. That Deathstroke section really goes on for way too long.
It goes on for a while.
It goes on and on and on, and like. Again, and I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but like DC can't teach us, and I'm going to put that in quotes, teach us that like crisis means this, and then start using this word over and over again and not deliver on that.
Right.
Like it's almost like they're trying to re-educate us as to what a crisis is, and that's this book.
I think they're trying to redefine what a crisis is, or or get back to what it is, because like I think that the Metal Wars have never been called a crisis. And with good reason, because then it would have worn out the crisis.
Sure, but
even though, by the way, I think Death Metal was supposed to, or Dark Knight's Metal was supposed to be a crisis.
Yes,
as
we
well.
Talked about that, but like many of the crises have done earth-shattering things.
Yeah,
and, like, completely redefined the DC universe.
That's right.
And so, like when you hear that word, you assume that's what's going to happen, and nothing about this book feels like that's what's going to happen.
Right. Okay.
And like,
but so Identity Crisis didn't do that either, or at the very least, it was more of a boots on the ground, no universe shaking events. It's just that, like,
oh sure,
like tonally, the DC universe never really recovered from it. You know?
Right. I mean, and I don't disagree with that. I am just saying that like DC has educated us, or like defined this word to mean this. Like this is what
a crisis is.
To the DC universe.
Yeah.
And this, either is going to deliver on that and be like, okay, cool, like you did exactly what we thought, and we're having a crisis again, because it feels like it again because of metal, even though it wasn't really a crisis, but it was world changing. That like if you're going to do that, it's like we just did this, even if it wasn't technically a crisis. And if you don't deliver on that, you're just confusing people, because we're reading this thinking we're reading a crisis. That's all. I just keep that. I know it's just literally the same thing, but this issue really trying to put it into focus that it comes from the definition that has been handed to us over and over again by their actions.
Right.
And so it's, I don't know. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got to say about that. Is like this didn't do any favors to me to make me feel like less of that. It's just upward failure of most of the characters in this book. Like it just feels like everyone's failing upwards,
right?
In a sense where it's like, oh no, all this crap happened. Try again next time,
right? Well, I think that I mean, you're supposed to feel like no one's succeeding.
Yeah,
you know.
And I you listen, I like that, but usually it doesn't come in issue 2.
No, but it's only 7. I mean, I think I think the original plan was it was going to be shorter.
Sure,
but they said, you know, hey,
decompress the hell out of this.
No, all the crises were 7 issues. Let's do something, because it is a meta commentary on crises themselves.
Yes.
So it's like it. I get the aesthetic of being like you can add more, and I think you get more in this thanks to the fact that it's 7 issues. I think that stroke sequence that like it's delivering on a premise that like we've seen kind of before, the idea of Dick versus Slade in this kind of like final confrontation feel, but in this, at the very least, the stakes can be the highest they've ever been because it's a crisis, like because it's supposed to be that way. And so if it's going to be, then it better be extended and we better get more of it. And I think because we got more of it, we got a sequence that I was very happy to see. And again, this is very much a crisis for those who have been reading DC for like the better part of 25 years, right? Like this is not a resume builder for a person who's trying to break into comics from like another medium. This is not a
and I don't
like this isn't one of those things where I'm changing the DC universe. Like this isn't a deliberate attempt to put a dent in the DC universe.
But if you're doing a crisis, it is expected you're going to make a dent.
Well, and I think that's what this is about, trying to not like this is one of those things where it's like you've bent it enough, you know,
right?
Like,
but then you shouldn't call it. But
like that's the whole point. Is that this is a
you should call it an anti-crisis.
Well, Death Metal already took that name,
or a meta-crisis.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think
then you might have want to call it that.
Well, I think that they already had the logo built up, and I think that guy costs a lot of money to make these logos.
Well, then
I mean, this logo's got to be at least 3 or 4 years old.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, the Dark Crisis has been an idea / name that DC has been going to use since pre-pandemic.
Right. Sure.
And it's definitely by the same guy that's been doing all the logos across the DC spectrum now. And those logos are very expensive.
Okay. That's I get you.
My gun has 2 barrels. It was very difficult to make. This issue, I think, delivered more on what people were hoping to see, in as much as there was more action, and like you said, it developed like the concept a little better. Like in this, I was like, oh, like that's what they're trying to do. And I liked the idea of like the DC universe is so weirdly malleable / fragile that like if you cause enough mayhem, you will break the DC universe.
Yeah, that's fair. It is. I also still cannot pinpoint in issue 2 through issue 1 and issue 2 what character I'm really supposed to.
There's no protagonist. The protagonist is Pariah, I think. There is no protagonist in this story. But there never is. Like, there was no protagonist in Crisis of Infinite Earths.
But there's usually a character who's
a focal point.
A focal point. And it's like, they may not be the hero or the like the main focus or like the main protagonist, but like they are the focal point for you to like the thread that guides you through this. And I don't have that right now.
That's because Crisis of Infinite Earths, there's none. There's none.
Right.
It is practically impenetrable unless you have been reading DC for 30 years.
Right.
Infinite Crisis is an agenda by Johns. Johns has something to do. That, I mean, Identity Crisis notwithstanding, Identity Crisis is only called a crisis because whatever. And 0 Hour does not have a protagonist either, but 0 Hour is created because they wanted to celebrate 10 years since the last crisis. Again, artificial, doesn't count. Identity Crisis is like, I think it was Meltzer trying to just make a name for himself in comics I mean, he'd already done that, but at this point, he's like, I'm changing the DC universe and retcons.
Right.
That one is, I guess the main character might be maybe the Atom, maybe Dibney, I don't know, but like Final Crisis again is Morrison's agenda.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, this is, I don't think Williamson has an agenda.
Right.
I think this is like one of the freshest crises because it's like, I'm trying to tell a story that isn't you know what it is? Maybe it's the fact that like the crisis in the DNA of a crisis is changing something because editorial needs to make it so.
Right.
And this isn't. This is like the first, it's like a Die Hard movie. It's like, this is the first attempt to just tell a crisis as a story.
Don't call it a crisis.
But it's going to be a crisis. End of story. It's called a crisis.
But then it has to do something.
It is. It's just that you don't see it yet.
Okay.
But like,
sure.
But like, it is trying to do something. We just don't know what it is yet.
But like, so if it is a crisis, this was the original like conversation we had, which was like the fact that like for a lot of people, myself included, we're tired of crises right now. Like it's been too much.
I don't think we're tired of crises. I think we're tired of DC fucking around with the universe.
Yes. So like, but if it's crisis and you say a change has to be made, therefore, it's still a change has to be made.
Except that it doesn't always mean that. Sometimes the change is like, sometimes the change is always fake. Or no, I didn't.
You did.
No,
you did.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, no.
This is the biggest. This is the highest level of us arguing over things. Is this? But like, I know that you just said that a change had to be made, and a change might be made, and this just hasn't been revealed yet. But it's still a change.
No, it's not a change. I'm saying this is a story. This is just a story. It's not trying to do anything except tell a story.
Yeah. All right.
That in the DNA of a crisis, it's effort by editorial to do something. This is, I think, the first time that editorial has no idea what's going on.
So then, therefore, for me, if no change is made, then it shouldn't be called a crisis.
Okay, that's just your definition of what a crisis is, then.
Well, that's what they taught me.
Right. Okay.
Like DC, you set the rules.
You set the rules.
I'm adhering to those, and I'm telling you I'm tired of changes. And you put out a book called Crisis.
So you're changing something again.
So it feels like something has to change. And I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, and they're like, and I think this book is like, oh, well, then you just misunderstood what a crisis is. Sorry.
I mean,
I think that's what this book is doing to you.
It's like going to school and being told here's what 2 + 2 is 4. It's 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
Hey, actually,
yeah.
5.
Welcome to the real world.
That's garbage.
That's what every authority like member does to everyone.
Right, but like, I guess what I'm saying, and I'm not sure is being understood here, is that like it's wearying.
Yeah.
For those of us.
No, I understand
who are like, you know what, like. You've been DC's just been tossing things up in the air, and again they won't give us a firm ground.
No,
and that's why I think Rebirth was successful, because we felt like okay, we're committed to something, even if everyone didn't agree with like each character's like progress or like where their future lied within Rebirth.
Yeah,
we at least had the confidence that it's like.
This is going in a direction.
We're on a direction.
And someone is guiding the ship.
There is a plan, right? And then ever since that, it's been like, how about this? Okay, no, never mind. How about this?
Yeah.
Like, there's no commitment to a plan, but therefore you'd have to have a plan.
100%.
It always just feels like they're just trying something. And you know what? I know that people have meetings. Meetings are being had. And like they are talking about things, even if it's not even if it's not as developed and thought through as it should be. If you're running a company and a business where people's livelihoods are on the line, I'm not talking about ours.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the people who work for them, and I'm not talking about the higher ups. I'm talking about everybody else underneath.
Yeah,
who's like really
who just
reliant.
Tell stories and
who's really reliant on the decisions that are made up here.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. That's right.
And it just feels like as of late they just can't commit to one. And I don't know if it's because they're not happy with the ideas that they're coming up with.
Oh, they don't care. It's just that there's nobody there.
Right.
The reality is the people who are telling these stories are telling these stories. And when they knock on the door for mommy and daddy to approve of them, both of them left for cigarettes. And they're not coming back.
No, it's true.
Like, that's the problem.
It's true.
And so you got like Josh Williamson, who's like, I have unprecedented freedom to tell you what the DC universe is, and I'm never going to have that again. And so here's a crisis that will do that.
That's fine.
But everyone else is doing whatever they want at any time. So, and yes, that is a failing of the company.
Absolutely.
100%.
So, but the other thing,
but I also knew,
The other thing is, though, like, if this crisis is just a story being told, right? As regard, let's just pretend like it doesn't say Dark Crisis, and
it's
like,
just called like whatever.
Josh Williams. Here's what Josh Williams thinks of the DC universe. Like, if that's what the book was, and it's out there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, whatever. As much as I don't want a change, the expectation, though, is that after this, we would hope
that there will be change.
That there would be a plateau. Like,
we'll
make a change,
and then a new status quo.
A new status quo, and we're going to live with that. Even if we're not all of us, many of us are sick and tired of like having a change and a change and a change and a change, and it just feels like, okay, cool, Josh might make a status quo like change, and go like, okay, this is how it's going to be, and then they'll be like, actually,
they're not going to do that. Welcome to reading DC Comics. You know that, like, you know that better than anybody.
You know what it is? I guess in my mind, and maybe this is just
like they wouldn't have approved a crisis in the first place if they weren't going to go in one direction.
If they weren't going to adhere to it. And the idea that like
they could just let a crisis slip through.
Well, so like the other thing too is that like what Snyder did, right? He does like, metal and then Dark Knight's metal or death metal.
Yeah.
Right? And like they decide we're not going to call this a crisis, even though it does change the status quo. We're going to not call it that, which makes it seem like DC has reverence for the word crisis.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
No.
Like, there's something there where like they've set a precedence where it's like, you know what? This is a word that we withhold for certain very specific things.
Snyder just didn't want to call it one. No, the creator had more power than the editorial. He just said he didn't want to call it that.
Right.
He didn't want, actually, what's interesting about that is he didn't want to get roped up in what a crisis meant.
Right. But apparently now that
actually what you were saying.
Right. Like it's so frustrating.
Yeah, and now no one's in charge, and so it doesn't mean anything.
They just choose to adhere to nothing.
That's
and
right.
Like it's
that's DC.
But it makes this seem even less
important.
Right.
That's right.
Or worth it.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
And I'm sorry to say that because like I know Josh has been on the show and
he's doing a great job. Like this is a book that feels fun, but like it's just literally a firmer established editor or a bigger writer could undo the whole thing the next day.
Oh, absolutely.
End of story.
That's really what it is. And that's why I think it's my brain is of two.
Yeah.
Like
mine's about
it because I'm like, on the one hand, I'm like, cool. Like, artists doing, what they need to do. And like creators out there, making stories and making big moves. And that's what Josh is doing.
Totally.
But then also like taking the label crisis.
Yeah. It's yet another casualty.
That's what it is.
Of where we are as a culture is that we are losing reverence for everything. Okay. Yeah. You have been, I'm sorry.
It is.
One more day didn't happen to you.
No. Okay, so it is and it isn't that because like that's saying that I don't have a foot in the real world.
You do.
Because like the problem too is that like yes,
you could see it, you could feel it.
I can feel it.
It didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. No, I know.
Like,
but what you're assuming is all that. But don't forget what my other argument is that we're tired.
Oh yeah, no, and also everyone's fatigued.
Yeah,
everyone's sick of it.
There's total fatigue from it, and then you're gonna throw the word crisis out there, which makes everyone go like, oh, a crisis, that's important.
Because it's all connected.
But it's not important.
No, it's not. No. It's not. No, I know. Yeah, we're just approaching it from a perspective of like
it's also just.
But no, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. I'm like, the genie's out. The genie's been out for 20 years.
Right. I
agree.
No offense. I know we're not a big video game group here, but like I did live through all of Silent Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
So don't come at me with your with your Spider-Man woes, man. Like
yeah, no, you've experienced it.
I have.
Just not here.
No, I haven't experienced it here, but like again, it's the term crisis.
Yeah.
It means something.
It should
used to mean
well,
something. And it should mean something. But what it should mean is
but Morrison called the last one the final one.
But yeah,
after that, that's over.
It's over. There shouldn't be anymore.
That's right.
It's the final countdown there. But like again, like don't constantly be changing things, but also adhere to your own rules.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You establish some rules, try to adhere to them.
Yes,
slightly.
and I will give you this. I think Josh is trying to establish some.
Okay.
I think in that regard, I think on this level, he's like, no, this is what the DC universe should be.
Right.
And if they like it enough, the audience will make them It'll like I'll say what the rules should be.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll say and the characters in the universe will say what the rules are.
Yeah.
And hopefully the audience will like it enough
yeah.
to firmly establish them enough to the upper management
Right.
that eventually shows up and does the job.
Right.
Which
now,
they're never going to do.
Really what he needs is the support of other creators to make that happen, because what we, the audience, thinks doesn't really seem
Absolutely.
to matter.
No, yeah, no.
So
the
he
audience
really needs a team behind him here. But additionally, I also didn't find issue 2 to be that engaging.
Well, and I did, because I was like, that's cool. And it wasn't engaging, and unfortunately it wasn't engaging in terms of story, because like, who cares, right? Like I was like, oh no, the Green Lanterns, oh no.
I think what doesn't help again is who's seemingly driving the bus, because again, I can't find this like through line.
Nobody's in charge.
But like of the comic, is Pariah.
Right.
And I just
you don't want to do that.
I just don't care.
I don't blame you.
I just don't care about Pariah.
I don't blame you. But we did get Superboy fighting, or Superman fighting Cyborg Superman, and that was awesome.
Sure.
It was so awesome. To have Dick Grayson be almost killed by Deathstroke, and then have Superboy show up,
right,
and then have his fake cyborg father attack him.
I know. No, admittedly, yes, that's cool.
It's the past attacking the present, and that's like really neat.
It's the past attacking the
Plus,
future.
it's like, a cool
I
fight.
get it. It's two people like trying to fill the role of Superman.
Yeah.
At one point, listen, I get it. You don't have to explain it.
I know you know.
Cool.
I'm just saying
it was so short comparatively to everything that I was like.
Well, because
oh
Josh likes Nightwing more. No, I agree. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that, and I would love for it to be a spinoff. Like, just give me a one shot of John fighting Hank.
All of them. Just get all.
Yeah, get Steel and Superboy. And,
Steel can come to like back him up, and
then Eradicator shows up. But John has already fought Eradicator.
That's true.
He's never fought Hank Henshaw,
That's
and that
true.
was cool. That's cool.
That's fine, but like it wasn't enough.
It was not. No, but the art is so good. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
The art looked great. I thought it looked great. It was this is a AAA looking book with stakes that should matter and should feel impactful. And I think that if we want it to enough, it might.
Here's what's funny too, is that like again here's the like Tiffany lives in a fantasy world where like crisis should matter, but she's also fatigued from events, but also is meta reading the fact that there's no way that like
that it'll stick.
That Nightwing is gonna die.
Oh,
I was like, there's no tension.
Well, no, because it's in it. They said you can't kill them.
This is zero.
Oh, I know.
But like they said that way after most of the tension was trying to take place.
Oh, I know.
Like, and I'm like, no, there's no tension, Josh. There's no tension.
No.
The bots are crazy today too in the chat for some reason.
Horrible.
Anyway.
Yeah. Probably because we have like a trendy word.
This is why I'm literally reading Crisis, is so that we can have these conversations.
Yeah, me too.
Because
it's great.
Like it's the one like comic that you and I are reading together.
Yeah.
And I enjoy these conversations a lot. So
Same.
All right. That's it. Final Crisis 2. Sal says go for it. I'm like,
yeah, I say go for it.
I'm reading it.
It's a hell of a toboggan ride. Let me have those headphones, because we have a special guest that is going to jump onto the show, because we have something to say before we move on.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm going to slide off.
Okay.
Make it easier for you.
It's DJ Woolridge. Hey, DJ, what's going on?
What up? What up? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Thank you for
hell
coming
yeah.
on the show, dude.
I've just been sitting in on your Dark Crisis conversation. I haven't read issue 2 yet, but you probably already covered this, but can I give my one
I would love to hear it.
Caveat for Dark Crisis is that I don't really read events anymore, because I just don't find them terribly interesting. But
that's fair.
And I was not on board with this one, because I was like, well, you can't. The Justice League is going to come back.
Oh yeah,
but with the idea of like, yeah, of course they are, but just spinning, what would happen if they did go away? What would these people do? That's not uncompelling. It's like, yeah, they'll come back, but what do we do in the meantime?
Yeah. And like having Black Adam swoop in and be like, all right, maybe he's actually an opportunist.
Yeah.
And he's just sowing doubt in the people who would rightfully take over or lead the DC universe. And he's like, no, like I should be in charge. Like he let them say that he should be in charge, so he can be like, it was your idea all along. And it's like, that's a cool idea. But
and that's his bit. That's his gimmick. That's his
whole deal. That's what he does.
That's his whole deal. I love in the trailer for the new Black Adam movie, he was like, my son sacrificed his life for me. It's like, well, that's not what happened in the comic. That's not how things went down in the comics.
Well, and I would love it if he's just straight up lying. Like that ain't how it worked, man.
I don't think Mr. Dwayne The Rock Johnson would let it play out that way. Is my guess.
Not. Yeah,
that
dude he has a lot of sway. He's got a lot of sway. But DJ, listen, you have a Kickstarter that's out right now that also, yeah, that's right, and it's the second one in this in as many years. And I should say that it's very exciting, and I think people should talk about or know about it. So why don't you sell it to them while I drop a link to the chat?
Listen, here's the thing: if you go to hellbentcomicbook.com, you can find Hellbent Volume 2. As Sal mentioned, I did Volume 1 last year. This is the follow up to that. And if you too are tired of events and the same stories repeating themselves over and over, how about invest not only in some new creators, some new characters in a new world that we're just fleshing out now, but also a diverse team of creators with a lot of different perspectives, providing stuff that you would not get probably in your regular comic shop visit. So Hellbent, for those that are not familiar, Hellbent is kind of me and my co-writer Jaina's attempt at doing a comic in the vein of classic Vertigo comics like Sandman, like Preacher, like The Invisibles, where you're kind of tackling big ideas in a reverent way and kind of trying to process everything going on in the world in an exciting, entertaining, adults-oriented story. So we follow Jezzy, who's a young trans woman with incredible supernatural abilities, and she is being protected by Nick, who is an arcane assassin. I like to compare him to, like, if you combined John Wick and John Constantine into one character. That's Nick. And they're on the run from religious zealots, like we all are. And it's kind of been the funny thing about doing the promotional thing is weirdly, this book is much more timely than it was when Jane and I
wrote it.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer, honestly. I kind of wish it was like,
it's cool, and also damn.
Yeah. I wish things were a little bit calmer. But yeah, I think if you're like me and you dig that stuff, if you're excited for the new Sandman show, or you're excited, a more modern comic that shares some DNA with it is Something Is Killing the Children.
Yes.
That was something I actually didn't start reading Something That's Killing the Children until after Volume 1 came out.
And
I started reading, I'm like, I need to tell people. That if you like this, then you're gonna like Hellbent. You're gonna like it.
Yeah,
a lot of the same stuff. So yeah, that's Hellbent. Hellbentcomicbook.com. If you're like, oh, that sounds cool, but I missed Volume 1, fear not. You can get Volumes 1 and 2. And if you listen to Sal's the show Sal and I do,
yes,
at Only Sponsors Patreon, Spider-Versity, there's special rewards for patrons over there. So get on it if you wouldn't mind, please.
Right. So you can go to hellbentcomic.com and it'll take you to this lovely Kickstarter page. And you can help. I understand that the stretch goals have been fulfilled, right?
So we did our first stretch goal, which is extra pages. So now it went from a 44-page comic to a 48-page comic. Then we hit our second stretch goal. There's stickers with every physical tier. Those have been upgraded to be glow-in-the-dark stickers, which is awesome. Very excited about that. And now we're working on our third stretch goal, which a lot of the tiers come with tarot cards. Tarot is important part of the story. So we have exclusive tarot cards. Those are going to be upgraded to include like a metallic foil ink. It's really cool. We were able to do it last time, and it just looks really cool. So I'm really hopeful that we're able to hit that. Response has been really good. And but at the end of the day, I think everybody that contributes is going to get a comic that they're really happy to have, and they're going to be really happy to read. And they're going to find some cool ideas in there, some characters they're going to love, and a lot of like sex and violence and foul language and all the stuff we love in our stuff.
Damn right. That's why I buy comics in the first. No.
Yeah, that's what we go. That's why we pick up Flash every week, is for all the
sex and violence.
All the sex and violence in the Flash.
Yeah, but the reality is, like, mainstream comics, they can't afford to push the envelope like they do. That's why you got to go to the indies.
Well, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to come on your show because like you know it. You know what I mean? You're part of the same world.
Exactly.
And so one of the cool things with comics, especially if you're off of Kickstarter comics, is there's no like, we don't have to run anything by standards and practices. It's like whatever's in our brain.
No editorial. It's just you.
Yeah, we get to convey to you. And it's cool and it's freeing. And I think it's one of the hardest part about being a comic reader is that there's not a lot of money flowing into that industry.
Yep.
And so stuff is just all constantly on the bubble. But I don't think, like, I've just been reading Invisibles right now. In the Invisibles Grant Morrison's The Invisibles could not exist in any other medium.
No.
Like maybe someday we'll get it. I would be stunned. Oh, better example, more Saga.
Yeah, no.
Saga. Some
Tiffany
psycho someday might try in vain to adapt it.
I guarantee you they are already, like, that Brian K. Vaughan, like Bill Watterson before him, has been just like batting away offers for an adaptation of Saga at some point, and has just been inundated with we could do an animation, we could do a combination, it could be CG. It's like the conceit of that book is it can't be adapted.
Yeah, it exists in that medium, and it's an example of what makes that medium special. Because even if you were to do it in live action and have it be close to the comic, it's not going to be Fiona Staples' art. You know what I mean?
No.
That was kind of my hang up. I mentioned this on other shows. It was kind of my hang up was why I couldn't get into the Sweet Tooth show, because Jeff Lemire's art is so distinct.
Yes.
That in my brain, it's like stop motion or don't do it. Like, don't,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, unless you can convey that feeling. Anyway, point being, this is the type of story that, listen, Netflix, if you want to adapt it, give me a call. I'm not Brian K. Vaughan over here. I'm not going to bat you away. But
no, it can be, yeah.
The point is that a story like this wouldn't first happen on your favorite streaming service. It has to happen in a medium like comics, specifically Kickstarter comics, where you can do things. We're able to do things there that no other outfit would let us do. Yeah. And that's great.
And it's also it's a part of you. Like, it's something that is so deeply personal to you, and a story you and your collaborators want to tell. So you know that there's like an authenticity there that you just can't find anywhere else. So check that out. If you haven't already, you should click the link. I'm going to drop another one in the chat, and of course there's one in the description below this video. But if you also liked our intrepid guest today, where else can they find DJ Woolridge and all the awesome shit that he's making today?
Listen, you can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can find my podcast at Only Stupid Answers. And I think more importantly for your listeners, if they go to patreon.com/onlystupidanswers, Sal and I do a show called Spider-Versity, where we've talked about all the Spider-Man movies. And we're currently in the middle of Spider-Man, the animated series. We literally just wrapped up recording us going through the first season. We're going to the second season. And I was just looking over the episodes in the second season, and we've got some wild stuff ahead of us.
Oh yeah. No, it goes off the rails like you wouldn't believe. So
I'm
if you want
so
to check
excited.
That out,
I'm
definitely
so excited.
Go to patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. It is a great treat. And of course you have a terrific website yourself at the YouTube channel Only Stupid Answers. You got great stuff over there. And occasionally I'll drop in, so check them out over there.
Check them out. I'm going to make everybody at home. I want to make Sal watch Morbius. Stay tuned for that.
Oh,
I'm going to make him watch it. I'm going to make him do it for your entertainment, for you at home.
We'll see. It's Morbin time, everybody.
It's Morbin time.
DJ, thanks so much for being here, man. Thank you so much
for having me.
The book. It's always a pleasure, and let's get back to it. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, take care. Bye.
You too. Later. And so, with that, we continue. We roll on. Speaking of rolling on, Tiffany's going to roll on to the show.
I did.
Great job in the discussion today.
Oh, thanks.
You're very welcome. So yeah, if you haven't already, check out that Kickstarter. Let's jump into some super chats.
Because we still have one more comic to talk about, and
before we jump into Thor.
It's
true. Yeah, no, you're right. But there's so many terrific people here in the chat who have sponsored today's show that I want to make sure that we get to everybody. So without any further ado, I believe that the comics guy said, first time tuning in for a live. Well, this is a doozy, I'll tell you. Just wanted to show some love and thank you all for inspiring me to make comic content. Good for you, man. Keep it up. What's up?
Nothing. I was like, oh, I guess, only one of them doesn't light up.
What?
Of the arcades behind us. I had a moment of just totally like squirrel.
Six says, picked up Public Domain #1 because of your Zdarsky episode. I'm digging it so far. You guys rock. Have some coin to keep the lights on. Nice. Yes, Public Domain is Chip Zdarsky's Substack book that he now has through Image Comics. First issue dropped, I think, last week. And you should definitely check out that series. It's a really, really good book. I've read the first 4 issues, and it's tight. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Barai Lewis 97. The show only gets better every week. Wishing you both well. Thank you very much. I tend to agree. That Novo guy just wanted to say I love this channel. Nice. Happy to see it. I love this town. Mike Manhattan, have you read Radiant Black from Kyle Higgins? I've actually never read a single issue of Radiant Black. I do have the first issue of Radiant Black, but I never read that series. Girk Pectus, you think Daredevil would accidentally killing someone story would work for Batman? Maybe Hatter forces him to kill a villain. Part of him feels good about it, but doesn't know if that's mind control for or him. Yeah, I mean, they've done that story, or at the very least, like we've there's a really great Batman animated series about it, but it's a robot that does it. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I don't think that Batman needs to go to Daredevil for story ideas.
No.
But I also it's a compelling concept.
Yeah.
Girk Pectus, any advice on how to get critic screenings and other benefits? My sister does a podcast with a following and wants to take advantage of it. She does reviews. Well, you just reach out to the people who make them and ask.
Sometimes
them.
they just reach out to you, so that's kind of weird.
It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part's a little harder.
Yeah, the trick is just to reach out to them, and just don't be afraid. Ray Farr, hey Tiffany, Garfield comics don't have any crisis problems. Just saying. Come on, back issues. Garfield? I'm not doing a back issues on Garfield. Speaking of cats, Cat Lawyer will defend for treats. A moment of appreciation for Sal for making me love older comics. These are my favorite back issues, like Ghost of Kraven and Beta Ray. Always end up surprisingly me. Galactus debut is my favorite episode. I love that episode. I'm very pleased with it.
Yeah, you should be.
Well, thank you. Girk Pectus, you read new Jessica Jones multiverse. CB was real FU. I don't know what that means, but
Fun?
I've not seen if Jessica Jones is in the multiverse or if there's like a multiversal Jessica Jones. If it is, I'll check it out.
Is there a new book?
Maybe.
I thought there was a new comic, but maybe I'm incorrect about that.
That could be. And I believe we're almost wrapped up here. Daniel Hospitales says, love you guys chats with creators. Me too.
Yeah.
We love having them on. And occasionally we will do that more as we roll forward. Maybe we'll do, we'll do that kind of thing, like DJ popping in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll see some other familiar faces.
Yeah.
So wrapping it up, Dark Crisis is the best thing since sliced bread. Check it out.
I think the Dark Crisis is a book. It's a book that's coming out.
It is a book that's coming out. I think, yeah.
And
as always, judge for yourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the book's great.
And there's nothing.
I think the art's
that.
great. I meant to say the art's great. I think the art's really cool.
Yeah, it's good. But
they're taking some big swings.
I think for a lot of people, like they might pick this up and trade.
I think that the Dark Crisis will get new life later,
or they're going to read the last issue.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no. Well, listen, Justice League number 75 was like the number one selling book that week.
Right.
So
all right, what happened? Okay.
Yeah. So Batman number 125 from Chip Zdarsky and of course Jorge Jimenez and Belen Ortega. I think did the backup. But that's the book that I don't know if everybody's talking about it. I hope they are. Right. But Batman 125. It's a new era for Batman. And by that I mean, it's another era for Batman. It's
another creative team on the book.
That's it.
Is this going forward, this is going to be the team?
I think so.
Like art-wise,
I know that Jorge Jimenez had done the run pretty much with James Tynion IV. And I know that I think he reached out and was like, I want to keep doing Batman and I'll adapt my style to fit this tone because I know that Tynion's book was much more colorful and a lot more like, neon, not neon, but like a lot more like kind of hallucinogenic, a lot of crazy different colors. And this one is a lot more gritty and dark. Mm-hmm. And Jimenez is like, I'll do that. I'm an artist, man. I'll adapt.
Yeah.
And I think that they did a great job. Just talking about the art alone, I think that Jimenez is taking some really terrific strides in this that are not the same kind of strides as they were in Tynion's.
No, it's really funny though. For a minute though, I was like, is this Dan Mora?
Yeah, well, Dan Mora's influence can be felt across the big two. As well they should, by the way, feel his influence. But yeah, I think that this, it didn't have the kind of like big double page splashes that put him on the map on the last Batman run. But my favorite Batman stories don't have them at all. So I think we're on the right track. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Batman for me, Batman, of course, lunchboxes, backpacks, multi-movies, multiverses, all this crap. He's everywhere. He's every single favorite person's character. But like, for person's favorite character.
Yes.
But For me, he's a detective who hides in the shadows and beats the hell out of people. There's nothing fun or flashy about that.
Yeah.
He wears that black suit to hide, you know, and to frighten people.
Yes.
Not to like put his hands on his hips and be a statue in front of the Hall of Justice, which of course he is. But this is going away towards doing that. I think that Zdarsky tailoring it into Zdarsky's writing is trying to, like, I don't know, mold what shape Batman has been forced into back into a recognizable shape.
Yes. Yeah. No, I could see that.
Right? Like, I think that it's trying to be like, this is Batman. It's why you like Batman, you know?
But, you know, what's funny is that, like, it took really doing all those ridiculous things
to get back to
this.
Oh yeah. Well, and of course it never really left because you've got all these different Black Label books and side books and urban legends.
In the main book, which
is the one most people are reading. It's always the number one book, unless it isn't. But yeah, I think that he's trying while also taking big swings himself. Big swings that I've seen before, unfortunately, like the Death of the Penguin.
Yeah.
Which is literally a 3-part story by Alan Davis, which I've read already. And it was drawn by Norm Breyfogle, whose art reminds me a little of Jorge Jimenez. So I'm like...
It's funny, because I just assumed it was all fake.
Of course. It's got to be.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not. I mean, I have no love or loss for the Penguin. I was whatever.
Yeah, although I do like that Jimenez is like, movie Penguin.
Yeah.
And although I think a little closer to animated series Penguin.
A little. I don't know.
It's both.
Yeah, you know what it is? You can't be too detailed, though. Like, animated series is just, you know, it's gross, but there's not a lot to it.
No, but Danny DeVito's is a human being.
Yeah, it's just, oof.
But yeah, I by the way, this is not like the single best Batman book I've ever read, nor is it the single best Batman book that like I've read from DC in the last 10 years. It's just, it feels like a Batman book, you know, in the current status quo, which is to say he's less rich, Alfred's dead. Those are the things that are kind of like the standouts for me, where I'm like, maybe he's like punching this clay to get it back. Because I think that the idea of like Bruce Wayne being slightly less rich is not terribly interesting.
Okay.
You know, like if Bruce Wayne needs to live in an apartment, he could just move into the apartment that he had the last time that he did that in the 70s. Like, we don't need it to be that he's like, he's unrealistic if he's got the Bat plane, the Batmobile, the Bat boat, the Bat everything. Like it's actually unrealistic for him to continue being Batman if he isn't mega rich. You know, like he was called a millionaire because that was the biggest thing people could achieve back then. You know, then he became a billionaire when billionaires existed, and now there's trillionaires, and like, you know, he is a trillionaire. I don't know. It's one of those artificial constructs that for me is like, I'm trying to change things. He's less rich now. I feel like that's kind of like lip service. I think that's like artificial, kind of like killing Alfred.
Right. Well, I just assume like for Zdarsky, at least, he's like, that's what came before. I'm trying to play ball.
Oh yeah, no. Zdarsky's the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
When it comes to this stuff. I mean, he did write urban legends, but again, not the same eyeballs. For many people, this is just Zdarsky's debut on Batman.
Yeah.
So how'd you feel about it?
You know, I thought it was fun. So like I've read a few things by Zdarsky, and like this was there were a few moments in this where I could feel him writing it, which was weird because like usually it's pretty seamless. Like
his Daredevil is just like,
it's just the character,
just easy.
It's just the character talking, and there was just a couple of moments in this. I honestly couldn't tell you off the top of my head where they were, but there were a few moments where it's like I could feel Chip sitting at a keyboard writing it.
Oh yeah. No, I felt the same way.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, no, I felt. Yeah, and that's, I think, contributing to why I wasn't like, this is amazing.
No, it was.
It's good.
It was good. It was very
objectively good.
Yeah, I honestly enjoyed it. You know, I'm like, oh, we're doing a mystery. And,
right.
We're doing like and I also was thinking Spider-Man, where it's like you got to bring him down.
Right. We got to bring Batman down.
You got to bring him down, and not just in terms of like riches. You got to bring him down in the mud.
Exactly.
And like that's Zdarsky's just throwing him right in there, and I'm like, that might be the Spider-Man influence on him.
Yeah, I think so.
And even the Daredevil influence on him.
Sure, he brought Matt to his lowest points.
Yep,
in a long time.
You got to bring him down to build him back up.
Yeah.
Right. So you know we are getting that. You know, a Batman who's in the eye of the law, in the eye of like the public, being like, oh,
he's a murderer now.
Oh,
you know, we've never really. I don't remember there being a story or a status quo in which Batman was a murderer. I know he was certainly a vigilante.
But that is like, what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, what if we took a Daredevil story and did that, but like without it being the reality.
Exactly. Without Batman.
It is a similar feel, but without it actually being the truth to the matter. But in the public eye, that's the truth for them.
Yeah, even though he could have Oracle just like pepper a whole bunch of doubt.
Right, and we don't know what'll happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we left this issue with the like, oh my gosh, Batman's gonna be on the run.
Yeah, the thing is, Zdarsky's good at setting up what your expectations are and where you think the story's gonna go, and goes in another direction.
Yeah, that's true.
And unlike in a Bendis way that I also find satisfying, where Bendis will be like, I think you all know where this is going, and then characters will go, I think we all know where this is going. How about we just not? And I love that moment. Like, I love when that happens in comics, or at least in stories, because sometimes I'm sick of the convention. I know that it's like shorthand for writing, and I know it's like sometimes we just got to get to point B, and we need to do it by the way, like, but the quickest route, and the quickest route is cliches and conventions.
Yeah.
And it's like, we put a hat on it, that's enough. But like, maybe if we just don't, and just have the characters like stop for a minute and behave like human beings, it'll actually endear us to them more, or them to us in any way. So I think that while we can kind of guess the story of Batman vigilante and Batman murderer and Robin in the hospital and all that stuff, like, I think that Zdarsky might throw a couple of surprises.
Sure. I really like that moment, by the way. That was one of the moments that didn't feel like it was just, was very natural.
Yeah, where Dick was shot.
It wasn't Dick.
I'm sorry, Tim. Yeah. Where Tim was shot.
Yeah. And like that flashback.
Yeah.
I was like, there you go. He's adding something
to
that story. Everyone wants to add something to that story.
I know.
To the Jason Todd story.
But I like that.
I liked that too.
Yeah.
I was like, that was just a little touch.
Yeah.
A little Zdarsky touch on there. Ding.
It's true. He's also got to deal with the fallout. He's got to deal with the lack of Alfred, but also opening the book with Alfred, I think, is a nice touch, because it's like, I think he's trying to get you to think about it.
Oh, sure.
I like the idea that Batman has a dream about the three Jokers. That was a fun misdirect. Great idea, because Zdarsky, of course, knows they got to release the first 6 pages of the book for previews. And how about opening the book with the three Jokers?
Yeah.
And being like, what? You're going to pay that off? No, it's a dream.
No, I'm not going to.
Nope. But it did happen.
Probably
not, though. Well, he's thinking about something.
Oh, yeah.
But I love that. Yeah. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, and then in the back, there's a backup to this, which I was pleasantly surprised to see was actually written by Zdarsky.
Me too. I went, backup. I can skip that. Let me just see who wrote it. Oh, damn it. It was Zdarsky. I guess I'll have to read it. So I did.
Yeah. It's a Catwoman. It's Catwoman backup. I don't know if I like his voice for her.
I don't either, but I don't think she's going to be in the book. That's why she's a backup.
Right. But it's still fun, and it definitely, it's a little bit of a world builder.
Yes.
There. Like it feels like that's what it's going to be servicing, is to help flesh out some of the world that Batman exists in right now in this like weird state.
Yeah, I think you're right. What they're doing with the Catwoman book undoes everything that they're doing with the other books. So it's like, oh, Catwoman, they're not gonna be together.
Yeah.
No. Okay. That's less interesting, but I guess also it frees things up, like, for me, a Batman isn't married. So I'm like, all right, I guess you're right. Although I will say, I kind of enjoyed it. Like, I remember when they did it with Hush. Like, I remember when Hush was coming out. That's how old I am. I remembered being like when Batman revealed his identity to Selina. And I was like, wow, all right. Like, I'm kind of liking this. And at the end, for no reason, they're like, no. And I'm like, what? Really? Is anyone complaining about this? Like, are people complaining about Batman not being in a relationship?
Right.
Like, is he Spider-Man? Are we dealing with this? Do people really care? Like, because that's the least interesting thing in every Batman book to me, is when a woman's like, I love you. I'm like, oh, fucking pass. Unless it's Talia.
Yeah.
And even then, like, Talia's become a supervillain. Talia's in charge of like criminal organizations. She replaced Ra's al Ghul. Like, oh, that ship has sailed for Talia. So otherwise, well, then who was it going to be? Vicky Vale?
Right.
I haven't seen her in a comic book in forever. It's not even a thing. Jezebel Jet? I don't think so. So I dig it. Like, I dig it, and I'm happy about it. And it's interesting to see Spider-Man and Batman both in completely different directions, or in brand new status quos at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
Yeah.
It's a recommend. How do you like the new Batman logo? And people were like, what about that Batman logo? It's a new logo. And I'm like, it looks exactly the same, only actually symmetrical, unlike the last one. Like, it looks like they fixed it to me. Full like flat, though.
Oh my God. Sometimes flat's okay.
Everything's flat. That's like the new aesthetic now.
Okay. there's just no pleasing this man when it
I'm
comes
just
to
saying,
logos.
there's
I like
they built in the bat into the logo, and then also there's a bat shadow on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So there's a lot of bats.
Well, it makes you think of the Batman.
But I get it. His name is Batman.
Yeah, but you could put that on the shirt with the bat on it. I don't know. I dig it. It's okay.
Right,
I'm not really upset.
No, I'm not upset. I just don't care. Oh, and the failsafe reveal. What'd you think?
I don't know.
You got any speculation?
No.
I think it's Alfred's.
Oh.
I think Alfred built it.
Oh, maybe he's in there.
Oh God.
It's like Ghost in the Shell.
Okay, that's fine. As long as they fix him. As long as they bring him back, because it was the biggest mistake they made. Because Alfred's great.
Well, you know what? Then when he comes back eventually,
yeah,
it'll be a triumphant return.
I mean,
maybe that's what Pariah could do for us.
It's been a long time coming.
Help us out, Pariah.
Max M says, could you give some recommendations to get my cousin into comics? He loves Daredevil, but doesn't know where to start. Also, any teasers for the next Elseworlds exchange on back issues?
Later on, I saw a comment that they said also like any like Daredevil, yes, recommendations for that, but also any characters that you're a big fan of that like are just have good stories. Because like
I mean, Batman has a billion stories.
Cousin's not too picky as long as it's a good story.
Right.
So come up with some Daredevil ones and then
yeah, I mean, Ann Nesenti's run on Daredevil is crazy, weird, and cool. I think you should definitely read that. Of course, Frank Miller's run on Daredevil is another game changer. Mark Waid and Chris Samney's book for Daredevil was awesome. Also, of course, Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil. I think that's not bad. I mean, like Charles Soule's run was fine, but again, it didn't get a lot of people in on it, especially me. But those are three, and there's like long runs. But Born Again, maybe not just one of the best Daredevil comics, but one of the best comics like out there. So so maybe hold on to Born Again. But again, but you know what's funny is like I don't think Born Again is gonna be like reading Dark Knight Returns first to Daredevil. So you could have him just read Born Again and have them just love the book.
Yeah.
So that's good. But yeah, characters.
Yeah, just if you have just a good story, it doesn't matter who the character is.
I mean, there's a lot of those. It's hard to pick one. I mean,
pick a Spider-Man one.
Oh, Blue.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right. But yeah, also back issues coming out tomorrow. Keep an eye out. It's a big crossover. Elseworlds, I got nothing. Supreme Omega says, do you feel continuity is important? Because I feel like because I like when new writers build upon what came before instead of ignoring or retconning previous stories. Yeah, I think it's important, but not like you get people, you get creators like into a tizzy when it comes to continuity, where they're like, it doesn't matter, my story is the most important thing until the next person's story. But I think that like they really they care about their story mattering and they care about their story being told because of continuity.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Static Nova, I was wondering what your favorite Spider-Man runs. I'm still new to comics and are looking for recommendations. I like the JMS run. If you grab all the JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, creator of Babylon 5, Spider-Man from the beginning, you can skip the arcs Skin Deep, One More Day. Well, yeah, and One More Day. But everything else, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like Roger Stern's run is great. Peter David's run is fun. DeMatteis's run is great.
Yeah.
Oh, David Michelini's run is like the one most people remember because Venom was in it. Also Carnage, and those are fun, but like pretty stupid sometimes. It really depends. Spider Slayers and artificial life forms pass. Also, you should not discount Spectacular Spider-Man because like there's some great stuff in there as well, like some older stuff.
Okay.
Jenkins had a really nice run on Spectacular, which was really cool.
Okay.
Static Nova also mentions any Batman runs as well. I have a Batman book, or I have a Batman video on this on youtube.com/ComicPop, which you can check out. It's called the like best Batman runs of all time or something like that. I don't know. It's one of our biggest videos, and I recommend like 100 books. I think we're in the new Ethan, who says, thanks for all the amazing content. The amount you put out is really crazy, and it's all appreciated. Also, Thor was fun, especially when Thor was there. Okay. Girk Pectus, I started doing game development again in free time. Thanks for keeping me creatively motivated. Another YouTuber, other YouTubers do too, but you are my favorite. Oh, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It means a lot. Thanks a lot.
Good luck on the development.
Yeah. Kingsport Cal, hey nerds, just making it rain, like $3 for my favorite YouTube channel. Thank you very much, man. Ms. Marvel, Tiffany, you'll leave the door open and play nice. Nice shirt, Sal. Thank you. Yeah.
I like the Ms. Marvel show quite a bit.
It's a good show.
New episode hasn't dropped yet, correct? That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
But last week's episode I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
I know not everybody did because they're like felt like it was like spinning their wheels. I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
I really did. I actually liked, it was a nice change, and it made sense in the story, like to make the jump and to like change our location and like switch up the cast a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that as a fledgling hero, like, it's like that out of water feel.
Yes.
In many ways, in that instance, you can't just rely on your safety net. You're not doing the exact same thing every time. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Although I do want them to go back to
sure,
to Jersey.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, they will.
I definitely want them to be back in Jersey.
Yeah.
Jersey. But like I said, like as a fledgling hero, I thought it was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Scarlet Hottie, hell yeah, Kite Man.
Oh, yeah.
Supreme Omega, I wish we had a reprint of the DiMatteo Spider-Man or Spectacular run. Me too. It was great, and they should. But the beauty part is you can get that in trade, or you can get that in singles, and they're super cheap. Like singles are always cheaper, I think. I didn't get it. And Rayfar, loved your CBR article, Sal. Thank you very much, Rayfar. Yeah, it's in the community tab in this channel.
Oh, there you go.
I have a thought for a CBR article. What do you think about this?
Okay, what do you got?
I think that Marvel and DC should collaborate to create a competitor for Comixology.
Wait, say that again?
I think Marvel and DC should combine Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe Infinite.
They can't even, no, they're never going to
compete with Comixology.
Barely reprint the Perez book before he died.
I know.
There's no way.
I know. But like CBR has shit the bed so hard. I think, who did I say? Did I say CBR? I meant Comixology.
Yeah, you did.
Well, Freudian slip there. But
that
no,
is not true.
Comixology has shit the bed so hard.
It's because you read CBR.
I read CBR.
Yeah.
No, but Comixology I think really screwed up, and they need a competitor, but there's never going to be a bigger one. So what are they going to do now? But yeah, so yeah, let's talk.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, it's great. That's why I was going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Thor: Love and Thunder. So we are not going to spoil the movie right now.
No, we're not.
So don't spoil it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder, directed, of course, by Taika Waititi, written by Taika Waititi himself and Jennifer Caitlin Robinson.
My brain was like with art by, and I'm like,
yeah, with art by, no. It's starring Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, Taika Waititi himself, Russell Crowe, etc. Let's talk about our initial thoughts, our first impressions of Thor: Love and Thunder. After leaving the theater, how'd you feel?
It was fun.
Yeah, I think it was fun. That's right.
It's fun.
It's fun. It is meant to be fun.
That's really what it is. 100%. It is a self-indulgent film, which I recognized like pretty early on. I was like, this is pretty indulgent.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty on brand with where they've taken this character and this movie
100%
styling, like for this character.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it is indulgent. I think they've earned it a little bit, especially just, a lot of people may not be a fan of so much humor in these.
Yeah, well, I know that people had a real criticism of Ragnarok, and if you had a criticism of Ragnarok, let me tell you something. You're not going to like this, because this is Ragnarok squared. Yeah. With less grounding.
Yeah, but there's something I will say in terms of this one in particular, with its like indulgence and its fun and its zaniness.
Yes.
Zany, is that, I guess that's kind of what it is. I know it is.
It is zany, yeah.
But like that feels a little like some of the earlier Thor, like there's something about the adventuring and the like ridiculousness that like makes me think of some older books. Whether or not the stories match up, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But like there's just a feel here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's something there. I will say, I think that there is a significant disparity, and this has nothing to do with the movie, really. This is about me. There's a significant disparity between the marketing and the style of this movie in the promotion that is not inherent in this movie. Okay. Like, I think this wants to be like a Lisa Frank. Is that who she is?
You mean the lady with the tigers and the moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's He-Man meets Lisa Frank.
Okay.
And that ain't what this movie is. Like, it wants to be this kind of like homage to, like rock and painted vans and swords and sorcery and all this fun kind of like 80s rockin'. And I don't think that's really this. That's not this movie in any way.
All right. Because I was literally going to say it is like that.
Okay.
But I think, don't forget, Sal and I just literally watched all of Stranger Things. Like we watched season 4, then we went back and watched season 1.
It's a lot more like that.
I know. Hang on. And then we just finished up the last 2 things they just dropped. So we're not going to talk about that. No spoilers for that because
also you don't care. Nobody watched it. Like
what?
Every video that we've ever made about Stranger Things is tanked harder than the Titanic. We're not a pop culture channel, I guess.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like you might be jaded or like colored a little bit by that because it's like that is set in a decade and meant to make you feel certain things.
True.
This is supposed to be an homage, which doesn't have to be exactly.
It doesn't have to be exact.
That.
No, it doesn't.
But I there are certain moments in this that definitely I think live up to it.
I think that in terms of color palette and the use of music, that is true. I don't think we get I think there's something more metal about Valkyrie flying into battle with Spider-Man webbed to Mjolnir holding the Infinity Gauntlet than anything else that happens in this.
But
I'm just saying that's it's a chick riding a horse and there's only hordes of people, there's lasers and guns and swords and blah, and it's like that's metal.
There is so like without spoiling anything, I think there are moments in this movie like that, and I'm not going to say what they are.
Yes, I think you're right.
But I think 100% there are those moments there, but like I wasn't expecting based on the poster that the whole movie was going to be a rock.
No, but I think they really want you to think it is going to be.
I don't think that at all.
I think so because the end credits were like, yeah, and I'm like, no. That's not what that was.
No, they have fun with their credits. You know that.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
They just hire someone and they're like,
we saw that. Actually, I noticed that. That's the first time I ever noticed it, where I saw the credits.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, look, the credits. Like, it's the people who made the credits. And I bet they didn't even see the movie. But yeah, it's not even a complaint. It's a foible. It's a thing where I was like, but that's more like, I should write that. That's something I want to do. Like, I want to do like modern He-Man.
Sure.
But like feels like it's the 80s. Like that's what I want.
Copyrighted us.
Yeah. But
I think though, like that aside, I acting wise, I didn't think anybody did a bad job.
No, in fact, there's some like really good performances, and I think Christian Bale was great.
Yeah, he was almost unrecognizable, so much so that originally I forgot.
I mean, it's his face.
Don't forget.
They didn't even change the nose.
I know, but like he does something with it from time to time where it's like he transforms himself, but that's him.
That's him.
And
He's
like,
just a crazy good actor.
I went into this, I watched one trailer and I was out. I didn't see any other trailer.
He's not in most of them.
Straight up forgot he was going to be in this entirely. And I was like, is that? Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I'm with it. Hello.
Right.
But no, I think he does a really good job. Again, like he's that kind of actor. He can transform himself. You will absolutely recognize him like at certain points in the movie, but there are other points where like he just does things and you're like, oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
He's doing something with his face.
Oh, no. And it's great because I don't think he fits in the tone of what this movie is, but he manages to work it anyway.
See, maybe we'll get more into this if we do another video. I think he specifically doesn't, and I think it's with good reason. Like, there is, I think, the zaniness. Think about if you're going to see this, think about this while you're watching it. If like you're not a fan of the zaniness, think about it in a almost meta way that like it is there for a reason. You know what I mean? In terms of the overall like
plot.
Yeah, kind of, or just like there's something else there when you leave the movie. You'll be like, oh wait, was this supposed to be happening because of this?
Yes.
Or like to make you feel this.
Yeah.
Or to make you question certain things.
Absolutely.
That's really not revealing any plot stuff at all.
No. By the way, if you hang in to the end of the episode, we will reveal one minor spoiler.
Okay.
At like a moment where we're like, here comes a spoiler.
Okay, cool.
We have to pick one though.
Oh, I don't want to pick one.
Mine.
We're both gonna pick one.
Yeah, we each have a little spoiler.
A little spoiler,
and it has nothing to do, and it has nothing to do with the plot.
Oh, God, okay.
I've got mine.
All right.
Anyway,
I might have. Well, no, I don't.
No, I loved, but I know that like, but the reason why I bring up Gore is because Gore is a terrific villain. He's a fantastic comic book villain. He looks nothing like the comic book counterpart. And number one, I understand why they don't want him to look like Voldemort.
That's fair.
And the reality is, if you put a dude who has no hair into a movie that is like got sorcery and swords in it with no nose, played by an Englishman, people are going to be like, oh, it's just Voldemort again. Like it doesn't matter how cool Gore is in the comics.
Yeah.
The audience is not going to let you have it.
Right.
So he looks different.
Yeah.
Cool. Christian Bale makes a new Gore. It's not, it's like a very thin photocopy of the comic book Gore.
Yeah.
So you should be aware of that. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
At all.
Yep.
Like there are elements that reference the comics, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
That being said, because it's a wholly different thing, it works. And Christian Bale's performance is so good. Like he does things where you think he's like, I don't know, he never goes for it the way that like Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster fits so well tonally in Thor Ragnarok, where he's like, nah, this is what this movie is. Okay, I can do that.
It's almost like they made Ragnarok like that just to make him fit.
Yes, like they got Jeff Goldblum and they went, oh, let's make it silly. At no point does Christian Bale's Gore like ham it up.
Right, because he's Christian Bale.
He's really good in it, and it's really cool.
Natalie
Portman.
Yeah, Natalie Portman. I think
she's good.
She's good.
Yeah, she's certainly better than she was in Phantom Menace. She's a real director, though. But, like, she is good, and she's given some weighty material.
And she's given weighty material, which definitely stretches her acting abilities, and to the degree that you're in this movie. And I think she's given far more to do than you've seen
in the trailers.
I was going to say in the previous Thor movies.
Yeah, no, she's a character.
But I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I wish there was more of the weighty stuff for her in this. Like, I wish we had more moments of her alone, like processing what she's doing.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
That was one thing that I wasn't even a criticism. It's just like, I wish there was more. Like, this is one of the shortest Marvel movies ever made. And I was like, I wish there was more, because when the movie chooses to be serious, it is an A+.
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing that I was like, wow, like every moment where it is taking itself seriously and it is doing it works.
Yeah. Okay.
And it works really well. And the silly stuff,
I think, is there to offset it because they're afraid.
I think so too. I think this movie is it's like 70-30, 80-20 to serious to silly versus serious.
Yeah.
And I'm like disappointed.
But it also fits for where they've left this character.
Thing, right?
Like you have to follow where you left him last.
Yeah. I mean,
and so
they don't. I mean, like they do, but they only waste like 5 minutes explaining it. So it's not really it's not a big element. We're not going to spend 45 minutes of this movie watching Thor get thin. But they do take the time.
Yeah.
And I think I think that it's I like the movie, and I think that it is a pretty tight story, surprisingly enough. Like I think despite the fact that there's like 1,000 characters on the cover, it's really about 2 people.
Right. And I will say at the beginning of this movie, you're gonna sit through some status quo stuff, and I think it's refreshing because it's like, wait, this is all really good to remind us, like, these are the things that are going on. I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Part of the movie is going to be taken up in that first, like, 10 minutes or so, just reminding you of some stuff.
And not only that, but I think it helps to make the movie feel more like this is a sequel to Thor Ragnarok. This is a standalone Thor movie.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. And, like, you have to remember that with Ragnarok, all right, so with the first Thor movie, it was just, here's Thor, and like
here's Thor, you'll love him in Avengers.
Yeah, let's see what happens. And like the only like real like connection is that like we get a peek at a Hawkeye.
Yes,
we like know he's part of a shared world.
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good standalone movie. Like,
yeah, it is. And then 2 happens,
and honestly, it is very much a Thor movie. Like
it
is actually more Thor than it probably should have been.
Super Thor, right?
Yeah,
very Thor. But then 3 happens, and it's way more in the like.
It completely changes the tone.
It does.
It changes the game.
Changes the game. Changes the tone. Hulk's the main player in that. You know what I mean? Like we're like, hey, don't forget.
Yeah.
This is all connected.
Don't forget,
like,
we owe Universal money if we do a Hulk movie, so let's just put it in here. And
like,
that was like, I liked that. I was like, oh, cool. We're in like we're in the buddy flick era of
kind of
also Doctor Strange in that movie.
Yes, but like I feel right now that a lot of the movies that are coming out are kind of going back to the like, hey, there's a shared universe, but like we're talking about
but let's tell their story.
Let's try to talk about a story about a character. I'm
exactly.
Like, that's cool. Like, yes, but also like it's about this person.
I agree.
So that's neat.
Yeah.
I really there's a lot of I'm like try not to say anything. I like a lot of the effects in this movie. They do a lot of really cool things with effects overall in the film, and I enjoyed them quite a bit. You'll see.
Yep.
There's just some really fun stuff, right? Yeah. There's some stuff that's a little weak here and there.
Yeah. I think that like they rely a lot on repetitious humor, which I don't.
Oh, I'm talking specifically in effects. Like there's a couple of weak effects here and there. But like overall, really liked what they did with it.
Yeah, I think primarily it looks good. In fact, even the complaints about like the helmet and stuff, they do that thing, and I guess that's just now we're gonna deal with that. Like Star-Lord's helmet, like it does this like it's nanoparticles. Like okay, now Iron Man's less exciting looking now because he looks like a cartoon character. Well, but even their helmets are like nanoparticles, and I'm like, really? I guess we just do that now. All right. We're just living. But they do look better in this movie than they did in the trailer.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of great action.
Yeah.
So like a
lot of action.
Here's
in
the
this movie.
Thing. I think really what you can sum up from this, I know you're gonna talk more about the humor and stuff like that, is that like take away the fact that this is a summer movie.
Yeah.
And it feels like a summer movie.
Absolutely.
In like a good way. In like let's just enjoy it, and like you're gonna have your popcorn.
Yep. It wants you to just indulge and
enjoy that indulgence and accept the fact that like not every movie doesn't have to have like a gravitas.
It's not in fact it deliberately changes the stakes so that it can be more intimate and be less about like the universe.
Yeah.
Even though it is kind of about the universe.
Just go into it thinking it came out in summer.
Right.
It's a summer movie. It's a summer popcorn flick.
Yeah.
100% for me.
Exactly.
I was like, fun. But yeah, some of the humor, I like the humor.
There's some humor that worked.
And there's some people in the back row behind us enjoyed it
a lot more.
Like guffawing.
Yeah, they were losing it. It was good for her. But that was fine. There's a running gag in it that I enjoyed quite a bit that unfortunately doesn't plot-wise pay off at all. This is the like
you'll have to tell me later.
Almost love triangle.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. It kills in the theater and it really works. But then I'm like, but plot-wise, I'm like, oh, and then they don't really do anything with it. Okay.
Okay, you'll have to explain that later to me. Because I did not pick up on that 100%. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I didn't expect anything from that.
I did. I thought we were building towards something and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Did not expect anything from that.
Yeah. Well, in any case.
It's just a little gag, I thought.
Yeah, but the humor is like, it's very much, if you saw Ragnarok, it's that humor.
It is. So.
But it's also like with the clout of having a success like Ragnarok. So like, it's that humor ratcheted up. You don't like that? That's that.
Right. But I also feel like, so for some people, I think Thor's their favorite character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's their favorite like character. Absolutely. Right. And like, so like, just like with me and with like Doctor Strange, it's like, I think of Doctor Strange in a very specific way. So I think for a lot of people, Ragnarok might have rubbed them the wrong way. Because it's like, that's not what I think about Thor. So I get maybe this is going to be the film for you.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Like if you like are like, you know what, I've got a different idea of what Thor is and what type of adventures I want to see him on and like the way that he's treated in a movie. Ragnarok, if you weren't a fan, like it's not going to be much different here.
No.
But I will say, I think you see a few more things that are pretty comic booky.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
For sure. That we're not, telling tales out of school here that there's that shot is in all the trailers. That's just,
there's just ripped from the Aaron run.
Yeah. Like it's cool. Right.
Yeah.
You see things. It's like neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we're not going to talk about it. There are post-credit scenes. There are mid.
Yes, there are two post-credit scenes. One mid-credit, one post-credit.
So just if you care about that kind of thing, just stick around just to see those.
The bigger one is the second, or is the mid-credits.
Yeah, which usually tends to be how they go now.
I think so. Yeah, but the last one is not a Captain America grabs a chair and laughs at you. Like it is an actual like post-credit scene.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know what it means. It's just like I don't know if there's like lasting implications. It's just kind of like here's the thing. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe a little closure. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
But interesting. So yeah, overall, I think it's good. I think it's worth seeing. It's definitely meant to be seen in the theater in terms of like it being big.
Yes.
If you are protecting yourself and you're not interested in seeing it in the theater, you're not missing anything. It'll be on Disney Plus in 2 months, so you'll be fine.
And you can have your popcorn at home and watch it that way. But like I said, like think about it like a summer movie.
Yeah.
And just have fun with it.
Exactly.
And expect, like I said, like good acting performances from everybody. I really do think everybody did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would recommend it, but I also think that if you are like iffy about going to the theater, you don't need to see it in the theater.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I absolutely 100% think that is fair. Entirely.
Yeah.
Because it'll be out. Like you said, on Disney Plus, you can catch it there.
Exactly. I do think Tessa Thompson was underutilized. She's not in the movie a lot, and it seems like from her comments from before the movie came out, it suggested that there might have been something there. I would bet money that they cut a good 20 minutes out of the movie that she is just in.
No, I don't know I don't know how else. Like, I want her to be in more. I don't know what they can do with that. I think I like her a lot. I like her in this role quite a bit.
I would like to see. I think I would watch a Valkyrie
I would like
movie.
more.
Yeah, I think I would watch a Valkyrie movie
or a show.
I'm sick of them. I'm good on shows.
But it's easier to pitch them something like that sometimes.
Oh yeah, well that'll make them more money. But like, I'm just saying. I don't know if I want to watch 6 hours of a Valkyrie movie. I'd like to see a Valkyrie movie for like 90 minutes.
Okay, that's fair.
Because that's what it is. Like all the Marvel properties, just movies that are stretched out into 6 hours. Except for Ms. Marvel, which actually feels like a freaking show. Or at the very least, I'm enjoying how they aesthetically build it. But yeah, so here comes our spoilers. You have yours ready?
No,
I'll give you my indication.
You're gonna go first.
I will go first,
and we're gonna give you a second because we are going to give a.
It's not even a spoiler. It's just.
Oh, jeez.
It's barely a spoiler. This is my thing. Beta Ray Bill is not in the movie. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not. That's not.
It's not because we saw it early and they didn't add him in the movie.
Yeah.
Beta Ray Bill is not in the movie. Beta Ray Bill is not referenced in the movie. Yeah. Beta Ray Bill's name does not come up.
Yeah. So
he's not in the movie.
Don't hold out. I was holding out hope the whole time.
But there is a reference to the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill in this movie.
Yeah, and that's not even a spoiler because it's literally
because they're on the poster.
They're on the poster, but yeah, like so my minor spoiler that's not a spoiler is that Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder are here. They're not named.
They are not named.
But it's easily them. They are in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like I was like, man, that happened. And
you were like, oh, he's in this movie.
Pretty, yeah. Well, because I was like, I really was like originally, I was like, I hope Walt got some money for this.
I hope so too. I didn't even see his name in the credits.
I'm sure. I don't know. But I think what it is like once if you know that like Walt Simonson put Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder into the book, and it happened to be when Beta Ray Bill came out, it's like you might make that leap. You might make that leap there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got one?
That was it. That was.
Oh yeah, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
It's not really a spoiler.
It's not even a spoiler, but like, yeah, that's fair.
I didn't want to spoil something.
No, I don't want to ruin this movie for you. If you want to go in clean, or whatever. But yeah, so that's our like kind of non-spoiler review of the movie. So now let's recommend some books that are coming out this week. Tomorrow, I should say, that you should check out. Of course, Batman number 125 came out today. If you haven't had a chance to pick it up, I highly recommend you do. Amazing Spider-Man number 5 is coming out tomorrow. Again, I think this is a book that like will eventually find its footing. I'm enjoying the John Romita Jr. art, but I know it's divisive, so I understand if you are skipping it for that reason. Dark Crisis number 2 came out today. It'll be available in your stores tomorrow. You should check it out. DC vs. Vampires number 7 is finally coming out. I'm enjoying this, though I'm not reading any of the supplemental material, which I think is fine. Flashpoint Beyond number 3 is coming out. Again, Your feelings about Dark Crisis is my feelings on Flashpoint Beyond. Couldn't care less, but I am reading it, and I'm holding out, hope that it'll be at least a decent story. We'll see how it goes. And I believe the end of Batman 89 is coming out. And Batman 89 #6. I don't know if it's the sixth, if this is the last issue, but it is coming. And it, there you have it. Batman 89, a series that went for, I couldn't imagine the meteoric expectations of Batman 89 and where it ultimately ended up. Because, man, were people hyped about that, myself included, only to find that it was not as exciting as all that.
Okay, so Saga #60 is going to be coming out tomorrow. So I'm definitely going to be getting that. Ghost Rider #4 is going to be coming out. I like that book. It's fun. Strange Academy. I feel like I haven't seen this in forever. Number 18 is going to be dropping tomorrow as well. Today, if you didn't get a chance to pick it up, you can pick it up tomorrow. But Poison Ivy #2 is out. Legion of X #3 is coming out tomorrow. Sabretooth #5 is coming out tomorrow. Sabretooth #4 just dropped last week. You're going to find the same thing with Excellent. Excellent #4 just dropped last week. Excellent 5 is dropping tomorrow as well. Yeah, it's, again, I think they're just trying to recoup from whatever happened to them in terms of delays and such.
Yep.
Once in Future #27 is coming out. The Closet #2. This is a 3-issue story.
Wow.
So it's a Tynan story I'm really interested in. I'm definitely going to be grabbing this. Suicide Squad Blaze #3. If you are reading the Black Label book, Suicide Squad Blaze #3 finally came out. I haven't had a chance to get it because I picked that up in physical.
Yes.
It's finally here. So if you haven't had a chance and you were reading this, go grab it. I think this is the last issue.
I think so.
I can't remember if it's 3 or 5. I know. King Conan #6 is coming out. Is
this the end?
Tomorrow. I don't recall. Yes, it is. This is the end of King Conan. So if you haven't been reading King Conan, don't pick this up.
Yeah.
Just go pick up the rest of it.
Well, pick it up along with issues 1 through 5.
Yeah, don't pick up issue 6 on its own. It will not make a lick of sense for you at all. Then there's lots of other things that also came out, but those are just some of the things that I'm going to be looking forward to that I haven't read yet.
That's right. So check those out. Don't forget to, of course, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more. We will do a spoiler review of Thor Love and Thunder after the movies come out.
Yeah.
We are going on vacation, so there will not be a live episode of Off the Rack or Elseworlds Exchange. Of course, next week, Elseworlds Exchange wouldn't have been on anyway, so you're fine, but no live Off the Rack. But back issues will be out as per usual.
Real quick. Dan Slott on Adjectiveless Spider-Man.
Yes, Dan Slott is given another book, an ongoing series with Mark Bagley. He's doing the end of Spider-Verse. We'll see about that. Morlun's coming back. Yay. I think it shows that Marvel doesn't have faith in Zeb Wells' Amazing Spider-Man. I think they're hurting from Nick Spencer's. Like this Dan Slott getting his own ongoing Spider-Man series now feels like Jay Leno getting the Tonight Show back after Conan left.
Right.
That's what this feels like. It feels like the studio was afraid or it feels like them giving Jay Leno his crappy show that came on like before or after the Tonight Show. That's what it feels like. It feels like the studio is afraid of how this is doing. And so they need an old, familiar faithful to consistently bring in sales.
Right.
I also think Marvel doesn't really learn lessons very well, so we'll see if that actually pans out for them.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think I'll be picking up that book.
Okay.
I'm not interested in any more Spider-Verses unless they're films, and I'm certainly not interested in any Dan Slott Spider-Man books anymore. Yeah, and I'm especially not. And if it was gonna be, it isn't because of more fucking Lund. Tell you that. So that's a thing. Great. Otherwise, we can see you guys next time with another episode of Off the Rack, of course, in 2 weeks, but stay tuned next week because there will be a little mini video for you to check out. And we'll see you guys next time here on youtube.com/ComicPop. Don't forget to check out DJ's comic in the description below this video. And of course, check out youtube.com/ComicPop for shorts and of course, our weekly series back issues tomorrow, of which the new episode will drop. That's it. Oh, and no, watch Tiffany on twitch.tv/ComicPop next week or the week after. Yeah, the week after.
I was here today, so
yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
But yeah, stay tuned. See you next week or next time. So long.
Bye.